Welcome to episode 23 of the Web Visions podcast. As usual, I am Shlomo, one of your hosts. This is my co-host, Vic. Vic over there. Say hi,
Hello.
Vic. How are you doing, my friend?
Oh, pretty excited to see Valerie and talk about our today topic.
Boom. I love that you jump right in. We're usually, we don't have four people. We have a lot of folks here. We also have Jay, who's CEO of Visible Magic. Me and Vic work with him. This podcast comes from there. And then we have Valerie from Riffaud Consulting, who is, we're going to talk about her work in AR, what she thinks about the actual ecosystem of going on now, what got you in. Valerie, let's start there. Tell us what you do right now and how you got there.
Okay, so I run a consulting company specialized in augmented reality called Riffaud Consulting, based in France. And my background is really around augmented reality smart glasses. So I've been in the market for 10 years. And then what I do now through my consultancy is to help companies to deploy AR solutions. I've been tracking all the AR solutions for the last 10 years being developed in Europe. So I have a pretty good benchmark of every company is doing things around the industrial sector mainly, but as well in the culture, retail, marketing, and healthcare industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm tracking as well and scouting every single glasses that can be developed in AR, in see-through AR in priority across the world, because there are many things happening, especially those days. And I just want to make sure I know pretty much anything happening, even if it becomes more and more complicated, because obviously many things are happening right now and more actors are coming onto this market. So it becomes pretty exciting.
Right. That is. So I could just imagine your closet, and this just made me think of what's sitting in my closet of these early glasses. Like, you must have just this closet of Google Glass sitting around, never being touched anymore. Jay, I assume you are similar with that?
There's a couple of things laying around. Yes. Some Vuzix glasses, maybe. I can't.
Right. Is that how you
now I'm focused on this one a lot. So
yes. So when you were getting into AR, was the true north of AR different than what it is now? Because I feel when I first got into it, right, for me personally, my use cases, and maybe this is because who I am as a marketer, right, and dealing with just kind of digital attention situations, that it was, layers of Yelp happened, was interesting, right? Getting restaurant recommendations as I walked down the street was really kind of the concept of then, right? Not so much now, I don't think, right? And then the concept then was I could bring out my Snapchat spectacles, which I used to love, my Snapchat spectacles, right? And putting filters and basically overlays onto the world through video. How has things kind of changed to where we are now?
I think at the early stage, at least back in 2011 when I started, we just started to launch smart glasses that were with very low specifications, quite bulky. So the developers and the market started to try to ideate what they could do with them. And although most of the people thought, like Google Glass as well initiated, that it would be the consumer market that will be the first users, actually back then already everything that was kind of experimented was really around business. And I think the very early adopters, and even in the academic sector, everything that was, kind of tried was really around anything you could see that today is really mature, but remote assistance or training or, assisted reality as they call it, or work instruction. So I remember that the first ideation of the glasses were released at my company. It was a kind of very interested binocular see-through pair of glass. So it was really nice because it was the very first, but they were so big. But there was no camera, there were hardly no sensors in it. And you could see that the developers, they were putting some glue and putting a kind of big camera on top of the glasses that were already huge to try to get this camera seeing what you see, and it was a kind of very handmade finished product that was basically not to be sold, but it was really showing what is now so well developed and, in my opinion, the most mature market. That means everything that can be used in the industrial sector, and that has really a kind of real deployments, real use cases, real ROI, and basically nothing from this perspective really changed. And I remember we discussed with Jay last month when we met first at Laval Virtual about Metaio and the first big meeting they did in Munich at the time. And there were automotive brands just showing, remote assistance or how you could
Bosch
fix the
was
motor.
showing, Bosch washers and dryers. You could,
Yeah.
or an oven. You could visualize it in your own kitchen pretty early on.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Jay, what was your, aha moment that got you in early, decade or so ago?
Well, I guess it might have been around 2009. I first heard about, Layer. There used to be this browser called Layer back when everything had AR on it, right? Layer, Scrap R, Zombie Shooter. Zombie Shooter was a game. Shooter, let me say it correctly, was a game that got sent to me, and I was like, oh, this is, this means something, and I didn't know what it meant, but I was like, this is something. This means something, and yeah, Valerie and I were talking about Inside AR in Munich. Was that 2011? I think it was 2011 or 2012. I can't remember. But yeah, there were a lot of automotive, and I think Thomas and Peter, who founded Metaio, which was a really big company that Apple, of course, acquired. I think Thomas and Peter worked for Volkswagen. I think maybe they were engineers at Volkswagen, had been doing some of this research, and tried to do a consumer market, but I don't know. It was more powerful for work, I feel like you said, Valerie.
So what sort of, I hear you. What sort of companies are coming to you to talk about AR work? Like for both of you, right? What sort of folks are knocking on your door and wanting to get in front of that?
Right.
Well,
Valerie.
you first, Valerie.
No, but I mean, of course, you get as well some kind of traction for certain profile because you have a special experience. But I still feel, and I still try to get customers working in the industrial sector, manufacturing, because it feels like at this time of our evolution, we really need to make sure that the solutions that are really mature, that have a value, must be deployed as much as possible. And those ones, they can bring so much value to the companies. They are required to go for digital transformation, to go for innovation 4.0. I don't know, in Europe, you have a lot of budget that can be provided by the state or whoever to transform your work, and that's an opportunity. While on the other hand, on the consumer side, we're still a little bit, behind. So you were talking about the filters from Snap, as you see.
It's got the
But the
glasses.
fact is that they are called filters. They never talk about augmented reality truly. And even if you check with the young people right now, they will talk about filters.
They will
they have
talk
never
about filters.
pronounced, the augmented reality word. That would just help us promoting as well everything that can be a little bit more leverage, which is
Does that bother you?
B2C.
Does that bother you that they're using the word filter and not using the right one?
Yeah, it does, because in VR you don't have the same issue. They all have their VR2 headsets, for their PlayStation, or
Right.
even there is no kind of ambiguity on the Meta Quest or even Pico.
That's interesting, because where I sit, because I do a lot of like blockchain stuff, right? And these people hear me talk about it all the time. I'm trying to abstract those concepts away from the customer. And you're saying, no, for AR, you'd rather it brought into, right? Because then you would have, which I agree with you. I never thought about it, but I absolutely agree, because the more things that say AR in terms of whatever, the glasses or whatever, allows me to be funneled in an appropriate way to these products, these apps, things like that, right? To get it where, as opposed to, as Jay was saying before, where they were putting AR on everything because it was hip, just like we were putting Web3 on everything, whether it was or not, or right. And it kind of makes it a little weird, right? So when you're thinking about AR stuff right now, and you're saying it's a very business sense, what's your favorite, quote unquote, favorite use case of the moment? You too, Jay. I'm curious, and Vic also. Like if you're seeing something that's because obviously it's not these glasses, right? I'm not even sure if these glasses work anymore.
It's a problem.
Favorite use case. All right, who's going
You
first?
can hype your own use cases, by the way. You're more than welcome to say you like the stuff you work on the most.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Is it the one we like the most sexy, or the most appealing, or the most practical, the most valuable? Like, because this is a problem in our world. We are coming from the show-off world, and everybody wanted to see an elephant appearing in a stadium, or things that over time everybody was using about showing off, seeing big things, and you love my product, look, it's beautiful, just before talking about the value or any kind of benefit you can get from the technology. It's always, look, it's beautiful, or it's fantastic. And we try to make people dream. But now when we want to talk about business and actual usage, we have not so much credibility. They think we are just, oh yeah, the metaverse or all this stuff is just, for dreamers. It will be in 30 years anyway. So no need to invest right now. And that's why I'm asking, because if it's really about the thing that is the most appealing, we can talk about anything in terms of collaboration inside a kind of immersive world or whatever. But in terms of practicality and, kind of high deployment, we are rather basic solution, actually. Basic glasses, and, everything is basic, but has a lot of value. So
right.
we need
Just
to change the
keeping
paradigm.
it simple. Keeping it simple. Stop changing the handshake is what I'm hearing. This is, in poker, they call this a tell. And this is a tell, your whole thing you just said is a tell of someone who is not new to the industry. You know what I mean? Like new people, and that's just, I'm saying it straight, like new people to any industry in tech, right, would have gone straight for that most flashiest thing that has like 200 users at the moment, right? And you said, well, what exactly is interesting to you? Do you want this thing that's being used by millions of construction workers that is absolutely viable and effective, or do you want me to talk to you about this new fashion app that has 300 hipsters waiting for a drop shipment? Jay, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I've always kind of looked at AR as more of a like a tool. I'm more interested in tools that help you do something, like accomplish a goal. And so, yeah, I'm kind of I'm with you guys on the, like, does it need to look, is it about an experience or like getting something done? And while both are valid, having like a super, and I mean like super, like beyond experience, while that can be important, I guess I'm usually a little more focused in like getting something done, like having a tool that helps me measure something or helps me accomplish something. And so, of course, being the self-promotionalist that I am, that, one of my favorite tools is the one that, Visible Magic made, AI Sizer, right? Where you size your shoe. And I gotta pimp that out a little bit. AI Sizer is something, we use a overlay, a virtual, augmented overlay to measure a foot and tell you what size shoe. So that's a tool approach, and that's why I'm, into that for that value.
Right. So Valerie, we didn't really answer your thing. Did I want to hear something that the hipsters are doing and it's flashy, or do I want to know something that is so utilitarian it's being used by thousands of people? Right. I kind of want to hear both.
Hipsters.
Yeah, but the thing is that, of course, the try-on is an interesting one, actually, because I think there is a bright future for try-on. It makes a lot of sense, and it's practically relatively easy to develop, depending how far you want to do and to go to the try-on. But this is practical, and I think we're going to go beyond the 300 hipster very, very soon, and it can go through a smartphone, but you can have mirrors in the stores as well with a kind of more evolved solution. There are many ways to develop that, and we have to convince as well the retailers that they should go for it. But the opportunity is massive. So we're at an early stage, and that's things that are used by big brands like Chanel or Vuitton or many in France that are really using that as a kind of early adopter and that's really good because they are showing the way. But it has a value. Same, it's try on, and then you see probably, the website, and you can click and you can buy the shoes, and that's the thing. It must have a value and a return on investment. And not only on the principle, but because as well, our ecosystem globally needs, to scale up, to just sell more software solutions, to expand, so that as an ecosystem, the XR ecosystem in general can really explode as it should, in the coming years.
Mm-hmm. Vic, do you have one you like? Not trying to put you on the spot. I just miss you, buddy, and I haven't talked to you in a bit.
Don't worry. So this is a bit anecdotal because I really don't have any kind of use case for AR XR at the moment. I agree with Valerie that virtual fashion is a kind of very good trend on this mass adoption market, I would say, because generative AI we've seen being used a lot for augmenting the experience with virtual try-ons, and plain old machine learning stuff also works well here. But for actual AR, I don't know. I just haven't seen anything useful. Maybe in education, but that's more VR stuff and 3D experience and stuff like that. And gaming, of course. But for augmented reality, not that much, I'd say.
Interesting. So, well, for me personally, because I don't have a lot of, I have these very, very timely glasses that everybody has been buying this week, these spectacles, right? But I think for my biggest moment of AR that I used the longest for me personally was Pokemon Go, I guess. And I was surprised Pokemon Go didn't turn into kind of a vertical that brought more companies to create experiences that way on my phone that are not so commerce based, but delight in my environment based. Giphy, the GIPHY, right? The GIF company that makes GIFs with brands and such, right? they had an kind of an AR thing that they were doing that was, you could spatially, let's say if I walked it around my room here, I could spatially put GIFs in a 3D environment. I could turn them into, that was a big deal for me around the same time. And then all of a sudden, the delight of AR on my phone kind of stopped, and it moved to a commerce situation on my phone, right? Like we're talking about, be it shoes or eyeglasses, right, to see how they fit on my face or whatever. And then all of these contextual environment experiences of entertainment kind of fell away for me. Am I wrong on that? Like, is that not a thing that gets built and monetized in a real way for people anymore?
I think they do, actually. It's just the fact is that you might be inside the market as well. You know, you belong to this, and I think what would make that every single brand could see a bigger interest as well is that we need more smart glasses. I think the phone is a limitation. Of course, it works, and that's great for AR.
Mm-hmm.
But I think once we're going to have more AR smart glasses, especially the see-through, optical see-through smart glasses, the one you really can see through,
Yep.
It might as well change a little bit the paradigm. I remember at CES, for example, I made an experience with BMW, and we were getting into their car, and they were using X-Rail and showing some kind of experiments that were really interesting, not for the driver, but the people sitting next to the driver. And what they were explaining is that they were doing that because there were a lot of sensors inside the car, and they were expecting that tomorrow everybody would have their own connected glasses. And by getting into the car, the sensors would give us, they would be used to entertain and to give an additional experience for the people inside the car. The sensors have not been built for that, but it would give an additional layer, you know, to use them for this kind of use case. And they were expecting everybody in the future would have their own, you know, smart glasses.
Right.
And they would look like yours, except that they would be not as funny.
Right. They wouldn't be so clown
but-
looking. They wouldn't have like the
Yeah,
Snapchat.
exactly.
colorism. Yeah.
And I think it's where we are really heading. And I'm really looking at the market right now, and I see a lot of things coming up in this area, you know, in the style of X-Rail, but as well Oppo is coming, and Samsung, and many brands that have been, you know, hiding their prototypes for a long time. Now I think they feel something is coming, and that there might be a market. So there will be two trends, you know, all those kind of very stylish pair of glass, maybe with an external, you know, intelligence that would be in the phone, ideally connected via Bluetooth to avoid the wire, and then you can get a lot of, you know, information and experience through your glass. And on the other side, and there is HoloLens, Magic Leap, and some very vertical kind of higher end, and there would be kind of more business orientated products. And that's very nice, because we are starting to fill the gaps, you know, of products that, and then once you have that, I think it's easier as well to monetize, because once you have them most of the time on your head, and it's really kind of, yeah, smooth and very seamless, then you can do a lot of things. And it will be much more encouraging for many brands to come up with new scenarios.
I hear that.
That leads to a couple. I got a few questions for you about that. Like, you know, kind of like the now, like the present, and then the future, right? Obviously, we want to ask you about future trends that you're tracking, but before that, what are the big opportunities for companies right now with regard to glasses? What is it that they should be doing, in your opinion, to bring these prototypes out and you know, take advantage of this new market? Do you have any ideas about that?
I think the product I've seen coming or the prototypes, they start to be pretty good. Basically there were, and there are still kind of barriers, but it's just that now they are really small and light, with 50 grams, sometimes even lighter than that. So it's very acceptable. The fact that they are untethered, so some brands still take, the option to have a wire to the smartphone because, everything is about the kind of balance, but still you can find untethered products now. And
Okay.
and the fact is that, yeah, so it's mostly secondary display to start with, but there are products that are coming now with glasses, with cameras, and each time, I can see a very interesting trend is that they are just sticking to the form factor, the weight, and they don't want to trade off that. So they wait a little bit once they feel like they found the right technology, so that they don't have to trade off the glasses, then they add it. So adding camera and same. So now we really have glasses. They look like mine, So, and they are not bigger. You don't look weird. So they put inserts so they can accommodate people that have a prescription. So I think we're getting pretty there. Of course, it won't be perfect because it can't be. And I think we're going to have to wait another 5 to 10 years to have kind of perfect products, but they are totally usable. If you want to have a secondary display, you have fantastic product. The quality of the display is great. The FOV is highly acceptable. So we're getting there.
I gotta say though, I know 3 of the 4 of us on this recording wear glasses, like prescription glasses already. Sure. And so sure, that's great for us who, why wouldn't I want to augment more than just my prescription glasses? That sounds cool. But if I didn't wear glasses, you better have an amazing use case. Like the only use case I would, here I am. I've never worn glasses, right? So now I buy, they're now, let's call them the great normal looking glasses, right? Like normal prescription glasses. And that's all the things we say, right? But I don't normally wear them. Now I'm using them for, let's say, a use case, business case. I want them at a conference, right? Because when I walk around, all of our faces, right, within 8-10 years will be already database. And I want LinkedIn to pop up next to everyone's face so I could really understand who the hell I want to talk to without even saying hello. Oh, they're a CEO of da-da-da, they're a VC for this, done. That's where I'm going. This person's, is like a junior marketer, don't need to talk to them, whatever, right? And that is like the greatest use case I would want for business for me, right? Like to filter who I actually have to say hello to in life. I love people. I just don't love people a lot, right? So I'd like that barrier. And so, how would I don't know if there's really an answer to this because I don't know what it's like not to wear glasses and not to have bad vision, but I cannot imagine myself with good vision wanting to be indoors with normal prescription lensing looking glasses. It just seems weird to me. But what do I know?
Vic, you don't wear glasses, right?
Yep.
So yeah, would you wear glasses if it gave you?
What is the thing that would make you wear glasses like we wear glasses?
Actually, that's a good question because modern gadgets we have, like the smartwatch and stuff like this, provide pretty much a lot of information. The only use case I have is some kind of HUD for a bike or bicycle when you drive and see through this. But this is like the transport kind of experience. But in real life, I don't know. I would try to detach as much as possible when I'm like walking out the street from the information, because sheer amount of information flow through my brain already, and I just don't know. But our kids might have a very different point of view, and they would like to be
100%.
connected. To be connected a lot, and
One way to think about this when I think about the younger generation, right? And that's like a lot of my work, right, is being accepting of concepts that is about their generation, right, that we didn't have, right? So we're like learning it. They are DNA level, right? Is I've noticed the flood of information could do actual like relaxing things, much like white noise does for sleep to people in that generation. Like you're 20 years old, you're 15 years old, and that, white noise calms down people. I believe that flood of information in the glasses could actually calm a sector of humans down, which is just something interesting to think about. Now, flood of information is not always a tide that's trying to break through. It is sometimes it could just, feel subtle, even though it's a wide rush of information. I believe these kids wearing the glasses and having everything pop up is easier on them than it would be on people my age who aren't like deep into it. Jay, what you want to say?
Yeah, it can be overwhelming. Well, I just wanted to make sure I wanted to get from Valerie a future trend for us to watch out for, and then also we need to hear about your like contact info, like what's your your website, etc. So make sure we put that on here as well. So Valerie, what's a future trend in AR we should have our eyes peeled for, in your opinion?
In terms of application, I think we have really touched upon the ones that are really the most valuable for the years to come. It's anything that is in the industrial sector, that's rolling, that's really things that can be used by everybody, middle size, small. I mean, the price of the license are very small. For $80 a month, you can have a remote assistant system that avoid that you are making your people fly or go all over the place to maintain machines and stuff. Everybody should be equipped at this stage because it's cheap, it's affordable, it's very easy to use. But as well as we mentioned, retail will be another one. It's not only try on, it's everything around marketing, again, getting experience much better, especially in store. Everybody is just running away from stores. Everybody's buying through the internet. It's getting worse. So there is, in my opinion, I've seen a few things that were really nice to see in store because you are just using your augmented reality to enhance the visit of the store itself. And I think there is something to play around that as well to change the way things evolve in the retail sector. In marketing as well, there will be a lot of evolutions that will be really needed. And as well, the verticals that we don't really see, but everything in the healthcare is going quite fast as well. It's very niche and precise, and it's not only surgery that is the most sharp, but there are a lot of things that are happening in this sector for which augmented reality can be very useful. A very simple one, we in France we have a lot of problems because we don't have enough doctors. So the fact is that nurses have to cover for the doctors in kind of remote areas most of the time, and they don't have the capacity. So there are solutions, being developed where with AR, you can help them remotely from an actual doctor that can help many nurses at the same time to do special treatment that they are not capable to do by themselves. And there are companies, they have developed specific solutions just for that, just for
I love it.
nurses and problem with doctors and stuff like that. So there are a lot of things that are not really visible. And that's, I think, the major problem of AR is that many things are happening. There are companies using, in different areas, our solutions and sector, but nobody knows because it's not, wow, it's not. And we were discussing there are big companies in Europe, they are using AR, but they hardly advertise about that, because it's a normal tool. They have really adopted the technology using it, and therefore they say nothing about it.
Right.
And
It's not a marketing layer. It is the true north of doing good work. I love that. Valerie, how can people find you?
They can reach me through my website, the www.reapps-consulting.com. So
Awesome.
reapps-consulting.com. And I have as well a nice developed profile on LinkedIn with a blog, and I do a lot of interviews. I cover many events as well. CES, Mobile World Congress, AWE, Laval. So
What's
just
the next one you're heading to? What's your next?
where are we? Vivatech next week, which is quite a big one, and AWE as well in Vienna, not the one in
June?
US. We have one in no, we have one in I think it's October in Vienna, Austria. You should come. It's very nice. The city is fantastic. So yeah.
Nick, I think I should go. What do you
Yeah,
think?
you should. You should.
I guess he'll see you there in Vienna. We will put your LinkedIn and the .com in the description. We've gone over our time because we just have too many people in this room. We could talk about I could even bring you back and have us deep dive into the medical industry and spatial reality as an episode. Maybe we get that when you both are in Vienna and we have a discussion, because I just think that alone is worth its own episode, right? Super viable, super important, and we like use cases. We sparkles are cool, but we like businesses that do great things and people have real reasons to purchase their products. Vic, what should people do?
Click like, subscribe.
It's my favorite part. It's my favorite part.
It's never not funny to me. It's always
good. We're on Spotify and YouTube and LinkedIn. We will have Valerie's links down below. And thank you all for joining us. Episode 23 of Web Visions. It's a wrap. See you next week.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
See you next week. Bye.